Hey guys, I'm Ray and we are streaming blacksmithing. Today, it is super hot. It is already 86 degrees, or not 86, 96 degrees Fahrenheit outside without the forge. So there is a chance that we will have to end the stream a little bit early. Because when it starts getting that hot, I have a tendency to not be able to drink enough because I have a small stomach. So we're gonna stream for as long as we can, and you know what? I totally forgot to change my stream title again. Let me do that real fast. It's been a day. Well, a couple days, I guess, really. I guess I'll move that over there, and sorry, I'm messing with my docs. I apologize. And we're gonna shape the axe head. A little bit. All right, there's that. Coolies, sorry for being so out of it today. Like I said, it's been a little bit on the busy side overall today. So, because it's because I was editing my videos for the next couple weeks, and yesterday I spent a long time doing a lot of finishing up on projects that I just hadn't gotten the last bits done. Welcome in, Corwin. Good afternoon. I'm a little bit but it's pretty hot, so I'm gonna manage. All right. So today we are going to shape this axe head that we've been working on. This side has a little bit of splaying out, and we want to make this side the same shape. So we're going to widen out both sides so that we get a nice axe blade shape. And so that's what we're going to focus on today for as long as we can stand to be out here. So I'm going to put this in the heat, and then we're going to talk about some things that I've been working on this week. In the heat. So I was able to finish the hammer. So it is now on the handle. This is the hammer that we made a couple weeks ago, or a week ago. I don't know. I think it was a week and a half ago, maybe. Something like that. Anyway, so yeah, this is the hammer that we made. I put a handle on it. I'm not happy with this handle. This handle is like really fat. And it kind of does not fit my hand very well. I'm a little bit, my hand's a little bit too small for it. And then it also makes the head of this hammer look like a baby hammerhead. So while it is done for the moment, we're probably going to re-handle this at some point. It looks like we've got an ad incoming. And so, I won't say anything too important while the ad is going on. What else? Man, my brain is like really scattered today. Really, it's because I was editing today, and when I'm editing, I can kind of move time around, and so I kind of tend to lose track of time as a concept. So I was a little bit late getting started today, and unfortunately, that always makes me stress out a little bit, and I always forget things, and it'll be all right. We'll figure it out, and today will be a fine day. It'll be a fun day. Do you have a rasp that you could reshape the handle with? I do have a rasp. However, the rasp that I have has been previously used to shape plaster, so like plaster of Paris and things. So all of the little bristles are not sharp and they're kind of cloggy. So in order to make this smaller, I'd have to buy one. And I will get around to it, either rehandling or buying a rasp to make this guy smaller. Make it a little bit more comfortable to use. And make it look a little bit better. So what I did for this was I burned this handle. I sanded off a whole lot of it, and then to make sure that I got rid of all the splinters, we burned them off. And then I took some linseed oil and I oiled up this hammer. And I'm on ad time right now, so I might have to talk about that. Restate it? I don't know. Goodness gracious. So yeah, I've been working really hard the past couple of days to kind of finish a few projects. I have also finished the raise sign. Well, maybe not finished. There's a couple other things that I have to decide whether I'm going to do or not. But it is to a point where it could be finished, I guess. So yeah. So for the handle, we burned the handle to get all of these splinters off of it, and then I oiled it up with what is it? I said what it was. Linseed oil. I oiled it up with linseed oil, so it's got a much more pleasant feel to it, texture to it, than if I were to just have like hogged off all of the wood and then just gone with it. But you know, it's still way too wide, I think. My belt grinder is a little bit too, it's really old, so I need to get a new one, and then I'll be able to hawk off a whole bunch more of this wood. And a rasp would also be beautiful. I mean, we might use the axe when we're finished with it. A lot of people will do a lot of wood carving with an axe as well, so we'll see what we can come up with to make this look a little bit better. But for now, it's done. Welcome in, Pyrex. Looks great. How does it feel? Have you hit anything in anger with it yet? I have not hit anything in anger with it. I have kind of hammered the surface of the anvil with it, and it's got a nice bounce to it. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm planning on using it today for a little bit of this axe. I'm pretty happy with the back handle on it. I do think that the handle is a bit wide for my hand, as well as the head itself. I feel like this handle makes the head look like a little baby head. So the other thing that I was working on yesterday is the raise sign. So I'm going to go behind the camera and I'm going to grab that and show you guys what it looks like right now. So this is the raise sign. Now, there's a lot of like Sharpie marker and like dirt and stuff on the surface of this guy right now. And the reason that is there is a film across this guy, right? And I need to peel that off, and then it will be mirror shine underneath. I left it on for as long as possible so that I didn't scratch it or mar the mirror shine on this. So I have yet to get the beauty shot on it. And so until I'm ready to do the beauty shot for this guy, I want to keep this film on. Once I peel it off, anything that like scratches or nicks it, it's gonna make it look kind of weird for that beauty shot. So there is a chance that once I pull off this film or I won't light the mirror on it. And if that is the case, then I'm going to put a texture on this. So we're going to take the angle grinder and put a flap disc on it. And then we're going to go up and down the face of the sign, and it's just going to give a little bit of a swirl texture, a sand texture on it. So I'm pretty happy with how it's come out so far. I think it'll look really nice on the wall. That is if I can get it to go on the wall. Right now it's a little bit on the heavy side, and it's not going to fit on the wall quite as well as our smaller projects. So I think I need to find some studs and like affix it to the wall or to the studs as opposed to the wall itself. So I hope that I can center it up there, and if not, we might have to move the smithy part of the sign over to where this ends up hanging. But I have the LEDs on here. You can kind of see the edges on here, and it's on a USB plug. And so yeah, let's see. This is the first time I've played with this, so let's see if I can't plug it into maybe like the laptop and see if I can't. We'll put that over there for now. I will sweep that up later. Let's see if I can show you what it kind of looks like. Maybe. I don't know if the cord will stretch that long. Is that gonna work on that side? All right, so, whoa. We can kind of, actually, I don't see that you can see it. You can see it from this direction. It's kind of, lighting up in different directions, but I think maybe it needs to be up against the wall to be able to shine through. So you can see that, the lights are flickering and stuff. They're just not showing against the wall. So we'll see how that goes. So I hope you guys like it. And we will try and hang that up here in the next few days. Or maybe over the weekend. I have a few other things that I need to do this weekend, but we'll see if I can't get that hung up. Welcome in, Sandwich. Welcome in. Have a good evening, yeah. Maybe you could paint the wall white or put up some paper behind the sign so it reflects better. Yeah, right now the project wall is a little bit kind of, I don't know, stained. So we might need to paint it. I don't know. We'll see how it looks once I hang it on the project wall. And I think that with the shine of the mirror finish on the inside and the backing of the wall, I think the light will shine through. But I also think that because, there wasn't anything to reflect it forward, it wasn't showing up on camera while I was holding it out. Very nice. Might need some frosted acrylic behind the lettering to spread the light. I mean, that might be the case. We'll see. Once I get it hung up, we'll see what it looks like. But I've got all the letters cut out, and it's the box shape that I want it to be. I've got the LEDs inside of it. So I do have some frosted acrylic that I can put in those letters if necessary, that I've used for a different project. So it's available to use. We'll see if I need to. Also a possibility. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure exactly how it's going to go. The other thing that we could do is take the other sheet of mirrored stainless and put that there too, because then we'll get like an infinity of light going back and forth between both of the mirrors. So I'm I don't know. I will do a little bit of testing this weekend. If I, I'll try and do some testing this weekend and see what I like the best. Welcome to, oh, okay. That is a bot. Let's see. And I am going to ban the bot. Cool. And this is being weird. There we go. We are not many, but we are not cheap either. Yeah. I would rather talk to you guys than the bots anyway. Every time I like click on a user and or like a bot to ban them, like I get this big old pop-up and then it never wants to leave. So I always have to struggle with it. All right, so yeah, like I said yesterday, I finished the raise sign, or at least mostly finished the raise sign, and then I also did the hammer. So I'm pretty caught up with most of the videos that I have left. So next week's video is going to be the raise smithy sign, or the raise smithy sign. Then the week after is going to be the hammer, and then from there we're going to do the tongs and the axe. So that should put us up into conference time, and so I'm finally caught up with videos, which means that I should, in theory, not be as tired because I'm not going to be working as hard over the weekend. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things start to get a little bit easier. Welcome in, Ping. Thank you so much for resubbing. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support always. And Necrotic5 has rated me with a party of 5 viewers. Oh, it's Neurotic Fox. I don't know where I got Necrotic from. Welcome to the stream. We are just getting started. Welcome in, welcome in. And it looks like FrostyBot has shouted you out, but I always like to do shout outs manually. So yeah, welcome to the stream. So we are continuing to work on our axe. Right now we are going to be working on widening out the blades. So I'm doing a folded formed axe. So basically what that is instead of punching a hole and making an axe just like, a wedge shape, we are kind of making 2 wedge shapes that we're going to fold in half and forge weld together. And then we can put a 3rd material inside of there and weld all 3 pieces together and create the shape of an axe. So right now we are kind of spreading out the 2 wings of that axe and getting it ready so that we can fold it, put a bit in, and forge weld it together. So I'm really excited about that. I've got the press dies turned 90 degrees, so hopefully we will be able to use those. Otherwise, we will be using the cross peen of our brand new hammer. Thank you so much for that follow, Neurotic. Thank you so much. We have broken our follower goal, which was 260 followers. It's really exciting. I mean, we just started about, 8 months ago, so we're doing really, really well, getting followers and building the community. So thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. You are why I come out here every week. I mean, I would have stopped for a while, and without you guys, yay! So thank you so much for joining and for being my community and giving me all of your support. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a look at the steel. Looks like we're doing pretty well, heating up, but I do want to, whoopsie, I do want to flip the piece. Let's see if I can pick it out of there, though. It would be nice. We have a million sets of tongs, so it makes it a lot easier for us to move things around in the forge. Let's pull this partially out, and then that'll allow us to pull the piece out of the forge so I can flip it. I'd like the piece to be equally heated, so we've got a lot of heat over there and a lot less on that side. So yeah, we're gonna turn it around, and we'll probably turn it around again because I really want to focus on this side. All right, coolies. Grads, look forward to watching. Yeah, I hope you have fun with the stream. So today we are starting to do a little bit more mindful forging. So I might not be quite as apt at the small talk as I have been the past couple days. I mean, we're still gonna small talk. I'm still gonna answer all your questions, and we're gonna have a fun conversation. But I may end up like missing a few posts if it gets a little lively. This is kind of where I have to do a lot more describing of what we're actually up to. All right. But it should be a fun time. Like I said, we are currently shaping the edge of the axe, which means that the axe itself is going to start looking more like a double-sided axe. So we're gonna see it's gonna be a long, like, I don't know, wide crescents on either side. I want to flatten out that inside that's going to wrap around the handle, and create a hammer backing for our axe, so that when we go to chop wood and the axe gets stuck in the wood, we can come back with a sledgehammer and hammer the back so that it splits the wood. Mindful forging sounds a bit like very expensive seminar by a guru. I mean, it kind of does, actually. It just means that that I'm going to have to actually think about how I'm moving the piece of steel. So the last couple days, we've been doing a lot of drawing out, a lot of lengthening and less shaping, right? So I've just really, all I've had to do is just run the piece through the forge, through the press over and over and over. And I don't really need to think about that. It's just like, close the dies, open the dies, close the dies. So, and I don't, all I gotta do is push the steel forward through the dies. Now here, I'm actually going to have to start moving the die or the piece at angles so that we start getting triangular widening towards the ends. It's gonna turn it into a fishtail shape. So that means I actually have to be mindful about how far I'm going and what I'm doing and things. So that's kind of what I mean by mindful smithing. But I mean, you know, that would be a great title for if I ever get invited to a conference as a speaker. You know, I could just be like mindful speaking as the title of my speech. All right, I'm gonna flip this piece one more time and then we're gonna get started. We've got a good amount of heat. It's thin enough now that it's really starting to heat fast, so we should be able to go through the press quite frequently. So yeah. So today, like I said earlier, I have been doing a lot of editing, and so when I'm editing, I'm moving time around, and so my concept of time and linear, or as a linear concept, is a little bit off. So it's harder to organize my thoughts into a cohesive whole that's understandable. So I feel like I'm being a little bit and ah today. So I apologize for that. You Own Individual Way to Mindfulness, a 2-hour journey by Ray Smithy. Enable your video access now for $6,999. That is a really, really expensive conference. But you know, maybe I'm worth that. Am I worth $7,000? Welcome to the stream, Ping. Welcome, Yankee. I mean, Ping, you're also welcome. Thank you for joining me, but I don't know where that. Yeah. Time. Goodness gracious. Welcome to the stream, Yankee. We are actually getting to the point where we are going to start shaping this axe. So it should, in theory, look like, you know, a double-sided battle axe for a little bit anyway, until we get to the point where we are folding it around our drift and getting ready to forge weld. I'm not entirely sure how far we're going to get today. We might be forge welding Monday. We might be forge welding Wednesday. It kind of depends on how much we get done today. Welcome in, Bluesy. Welcome in. For someone, it probably is. I mean, my conference could be worth $7,000. I feel like to see someone, I must be like the headline speaker, you know? Maybe it's a motivational speaker. They could be a motivational, like, speech. You know? How to keep on keeping on blacksmithing. I'll be quiet. You'll get more done that way. You're welcome to talk. You're all welcome to talk. I enjoy it. But yeah, I have to pay attention to what I am doing today, because we are, like I said, we are starting to shape the blade of this axe. This is my very first axe, so I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna go. We could completely destroy it, or we could have a happy accident, or we could just like nail it in one. I'm hoping somewhere in between screw up and nailing it. Because as long as we get to a point where we can forge weld it together, I can shape it on the grinder if I have to. But a conference is way too much effort. This would be a 5-digit amount. For 7,000, you'd only get access to the introductory video. A happy accident. Yes, an accident. I feel like if it's a video, then it needs to be like 3 to 5 payments of like $19.95 or something, you know, like the as seen on TV ads. All right, I am going to do my first heat. Let's do this. Let's see how this goes. Fingers crossed. I mean, it should, in theory, take me a couple heats to screw this up if I'm gonna screw it up. At least. Alright. We're gonna start in the center. And we're gonna try and do an angle here. And then I'm gonna take a look at this after we do this heat to try and figure out if this works the way I think it will, or if I need to approach it with a different methodology in mind. Like I said, this is my very first act, so I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna go. Alright, so it looks like we've got a little bit of a fanning going on there, and I mean, it's not terribly bad, but it's also not amazingly widening it out, but it's going to take a couple heats, so I think we're going to turn it over and we're going to try some more. I think I'm going to do a couple heats this way and see what happens. Today at Ray Smithy, increase your efficiency. Screw up your piece in less heats. Yes. These are the corners, the overlapping corners for the Ray Smithy sign. I kind of cut them off over here and I keep stepping on them. I'm thinking that I might need to actually rivet those onto the sign so that I have places to affix it to the wall. That squish dough, yes. Hi, that press is sucking out the heat fast. Welcome in, guys. Welcome, Jay Knudsen. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, the large amount, or the dies are relatively large, and so as they're going to suck out the heat, especially because the piece of steel itself is really thin. So the energy is going to dissipate, and the more the piece is sitting on pieces of steel or in the air, the more heat is going to dissipate off of that piece. Let me try and put that a little bit more eloquently, because that's a good question, but it was not very eloquently answered. Okay, so the dies, because that was my first heat, are still cold, right? And so the pieces of metal are trying to equalize the amount of energy. So the cold dies are sucking the heat out of the hot axe head. And so as we continue working, the dies are going to get warmer and warmer, and less heat is going to be sucked out of the steel as it goes under the press dies. I hope that makes sense. Treadle hammer build when? I don't actually think that I will do a treadle hammer. Part of the reason why I'm not going to do a treadle hammer is because I use large machinery to take the pressure and the stamina and the effort off of myself. And because a treadle hammer is not, or it is powered by my leg, it's not taking the pressure off of me. So I'm more likely to do a better press or a power hammer. Oh, we're back from ads? Okay. I guess it is about the ratio between the contact area and the volume mass of the piece. Yes, that is so what it is, Sandwich. You understood? Yeah, so a treadle hammer is a lot of effort on the smith, or it's still a decent amount of effort on the smith. It's transferring it from my arm to my leg, but really what I need to do is transfer the stamina away from me and onto the machine. Unfortunately, I have a chronic illness that causes me to lose stamina very quickly and very easily. So I need to reduce the strain on my own body so that I can smith for longer. So, like I said, I am much more likely to do a bigger press, a power hammer, and I would even consider doing a fly press. But a treadle hammer is probably not in my future. They are amazing tools, just not for me, if that makes sense. Power hammer. Yeah, it's going to be a bit before I get a hold of a power hammer. I have to decide where my pennies get put. And so right now, the best use of my funds is continuing to purchase propane, getting to conferences, and just continuing to get the consumables and the materials that I need to continue doing the stream. So it's a little bit harder for us to save up that money right now. In the future, when things start heating up and I start making more money, that'll be one of the first things that I'm putting money away for. I would love to have a power hammer. It's just not in the cards right now. If I were stealing Ray's money, my vote is to make a good chain hole down for the anvil. Yeah, I mean, yes. That's been on my back burner for so long. I need to do that. I sit here and I am constantly dropping pieces of material all over the place. And I mean, it's not amazingly good to have my, high heat projects end up on the floor. I end up setting my tile on fire a little bit. All right, we're gonna do another heat. We're gonna see how well this takes. We might be taking this whole project to the anvil face. I don't know. We're learning as we go today. Okay, so we are starting to widen this out. We've definitely made some movement, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. We are going to have to go back to the anvil though, because I only have the round dies for this amount of material. We're going to need to continue widening this side out as well. So we will be going back to the anvil to kind of widen this section out here eventually. Back in the heat. So it looks like my OBS is having a little bit of trouble connecting it to the chat from Twitch. I hope you guys aren't seeing like my internet wavering. I hope it's just my chat. You can get the treadle hammers with air assist. Costs way less than a power hammer. Interesting. That's not something that I had thought about. Most of the treadle hammers that I have seen are, you know, hand built pieces that all of the pressure is on your leg. So, I mean, maybe. I might look into that. You are still there. Awesome. We've had such great luck with the internet lately, knock on wood. But you never know. It is super hot today, and when it's super hot like this, people have a tendency to do crazy things, and occasionally, you know, we get power outages and internet outages. There's also has been a contractor doing a bunch of surveying, and theoretically that shouldn't affect anything here, but you know, if they put any metal rods down, I mean, they shouldn't, because you know, they're surveyors. They're there to figure out where the utilities are. Is anyone really anywhere? I mean, nah. My brain is gone. Clearly my brain is gone today. Well, if they fixed a failure, maybe it is not actually luck. Hopefully. I really hope that it just sticks around and, you know, I have no more issues with the internet. Like I said, the only issues I've had with my internet lately have just been power fluctuations. And normally the power is pretty good unless there, you know, something screwy happens, like, you know, during a storm or something. Oh, I would also throw a guillotine tool on the steel raise money list. A guillotine tool. I mean, those are pretty good too, you know? I have thought about making those before, but yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it. There's a whole bunch of tools that I just have not gotten around to. I feel like those tools though, my number one on that list is actually a hot cut. I don't have a hot cut that fits this anvil. I used to have a hot cut that would fit my other anvil, but my other anvil had a 1-inch hardy. This one has a 3/4 inch hardy. So we will probably make a few of those tools at some point in the near future. I'm starting to think that I might need to, you know, push back some of the other projects that I had in mind and move those forward. Because it would be really nice to be able to make nails and, you know, some things like that. It would also be nice to have a hold down, so when I'm doing, you know, hole punches and drifts, my material isn't flying everywhere. I don't know. I'll figure it out. My background is more large-scale fabrication, so I kind of I kind of have my tool set up to facilitate the large-scale fabrication of like furniture and things, but at the same time, I just can't do the large scale as frequently as I have in the past. So I need to start gathering the tools to do more small scale stuff. All right. I'm going to do another heat on the press. And then from there, I think the next heat is going to be here on the anvil. We're going to see what we can do with this brand new hammer. Not bad, not bad. It looks like we have about the same amount of curvature on that side as we have on this side. I'm pretty happy with that. I do want to even it out right in this central area, so we're going to take it over to the anvil for our next heat, and we are going to even that out. All right, so we're gonna move the camera. So earlier today, I thought I was gonna have a live audience because they've got some surveyors outside. And they had parked their truck in my driveway, and ordinarily I open the garage door back there behind the cameras so that I can get that nice ventilation and the extra light from the outside. And so I was kind of like, they're sitting in their cab, they're just going to be staring into the garage. So I'm like, I think that maybe I might end up with a live audience. They ended up leaving. They moved all the way over there to the next door's, like, the field that's next door, and they're kind of parked in there now. But I don't know. There's a part of me that's a little bit afraid for people to like look inside the shop and see me blacksmithing. I'm always afraid that someone's gonna like call the fire department on me or something. Did you give them permission to park on my property? I did not. They just parked here. I know I could have just told them to leave if I wanted to, but I just didn't want to have to confront them. They left on their own. I would have told them to leave if I needed to leave the house. I'm scared someone will call my insurance provider. I mean, yes. Same. Same. I do the best that I can to make things as OSHA compliant as possible. So I do use safety protection. I keep all of my fire sources more than, or like at least 3 feet away from any walls or, you know, that sort of thing. So I think I'm doing all right, but I really don't think that the insurance provider would appreciate it if they knew that I was a blacksmith. If not, it would be weird over here. And I understand that foreign private property is valued much more in the US. I mean, yes, in all technicality, I could have thrown them off with a, you know, with impunity if I had chosen to. But as long as they're not, hurting me or, damaging my property, it's all right until it's inconvenient for me. Now, there are people that I would just throw off, but those are specific people, so, these surveyors haven't done anything to me yet, so, So yesterday, while I was folding the sides of the raise sign in, I was using my dead blow hammer, and my dead blow hammer has this awful square handle, and I've got like a blister on my pinky. Kinda stinks. I love this hammer because, it's non-marring, it's got this rubber grip on it, and it has sand in it so that it doesn't bounce. So I get the full force of the blow anywhere I want to use it, but I hate the handle on this thing. I'm not saying you should. I'm just surprised they did not ask for permission. Yeah, there are several different companies that will just park in your driveway. Usually they're like utility or city affiliated, so they feel like they have a right to because the city is being paid taxes to and things like that. So yeah. I love a dead blow hammer, but you got a perfect shot of that handle, and it got me to audibly say ew. It is. It's so gross. It's got that, it actually has corners on it. It's so square. I hate it. I love that the head of this hammer. The head of this hammer is amazing. The handle is garbage. Awful. And I mean, I thought this handle was pretty bad. I would have assumed that is rather the European way of viewing it. Yeah. It honestly feels intentionally built wrong. It is. Maybe you could wrap some tape around the handle. I've tried to wrap tape around that handle, and the only thing that it does is make it sticky. Because the sweat from my hand and the little bumps kind of moves any sweat, droplets underneath of the tape, and then it just slips right off. I've tried that before. The handle looks like Lego bricks. It does look like Lego. It feels almost like Lego bricks. The bumps are rounded, so it's not quite as bad as stepping on a Lego, but after a while, it sure feels like it. I'm constantly developing blisters from that hammer because I never use it enough to gain calluses in the places that I get the blisters, so I always regret using it. If you can't find the tools you need, make them yourself. 101. Exactly. All right. So I am going to do another heat. We're going to take this heat on the face of the anvil, and I'm going to use our new hammer that we built a couple weeks ago. I'm going to see how well this guy holds up, how well it does. And if I don't like it, we'll definitely be going back to our normal hammers, but I'm hoping this works pretty well. We'll see. Pretty excited, actually. Maybe it needs a leather wrap handle. Maybe. I haven't thought about that. I only used tape the first time. All right. Ow. All right. Different hammer. I'll explain what went wrong in just a moment. All right, we are going to turn this guy around, and I'm gonna do a little bit more work on this side for our next heat. All right, so about a month ago, I actually overextended my thumb on my right hand, and I'm not entirely sure how I did it, but it's only been I keep aggravating it, and it's only been getting worse over time. I need to get a splint for it, or like a brace, right? And the hammer handle on the one that we built is just wide enough that it's putting the pressure right at that joint. So I'm gonna stick with the thinner handle. That head is beautiful. It works beautifully. It's just that handle, it's too thick for me right now. I need to just start wearing the brace out here in the shop. So sweaty hands be damned. I will just use the brace out here. Strap up the thumb, yes. Remember, if all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. Exactly. Jack says, so the plan is to bow tie this basically and weld the blade together. Yes, that is the plan. I'm not entirely sure that it's going to work, but that is how I am going to approach it. So yeah, what I'm planning on doing is bow tying it out, folding it outward, or like together closed, and we're gonna forge weld it together. Depending on what shape it ends up in the end, I may or may not put a bit in there, and I'm not entirely sure how 4140 welds to itself. So oftentimes, if a material doesn't like to weld to itself, if you put a second material inside that weld, it welds a lot easier. So we may or may not do a bit. Is it high carbon or low carbon, and are you using a welded bit in the middle? So it is 4140, and so that is like, hammer stock. This is the first time I've ever really used it. I mean, I guess I used it for that hammer because that hammer was also 4140. But this is the first time I've attempted to forge weld it. We will be using the coal forge to weld it because I've never welded in a gas forge. Also, because my forges, both of them are made of fire bricks, I need to make sure that if I were to try to weld in them, I needed to make sure that they're lined with something else, because flux for forge welding eats away fire bricks. So if I'm going to use any borax, I need to make sure that it's not directly on the floor of my forge. How's forge welding with Venturi? I'd imagine it takes a while to get to heat. I mean, like I said, I've only ever forge welded with a coal forge. And I mean, it's not too bad forge welding in a coal forge. I mean, it's the way I learned it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of show you more of the process a little bit more close up in the, with the close-up camera. We'll see. It may just be too bright to show you what I'm looking for when I'm looking to weld something together. Because really the way that I learned to forge weld is to, stick the pieces together, flux it up, and then wait for the flux to melt into a peach or like an orange peel texture. So if you're looking at the fruit and orange, and it's kind of got those little tiny dimples in that, that's what you're looking for in the melted flux. And when you get that peach, or I mean orange texture, that's when it's hot enough to hammer together. For your cameras and your eyes, find a shade 3 lens. It's about perfect to show forge welding. Number 3, okay, I will look at that. I have, when I was doing the fabrication of the forge itself, I used a variable shade lens. It would auto darken, and some of it worked some of the time, and some of the time it didn't. So if having a actual number on that is going to help a lot. So number 3, thanks for that. I will write that down, or I guess text it to myself. And have used to display to others. Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, the only shading I've had to do is when I've done some welding with like an electric welder, and that was a multiple pass, or I guess it was a multiple shade thing. Does it darken by light or UV like many glasses do? In the latter case, it would work for the arc welding. It produces UV, but not for forge welding. And Bluesies never tried electric welders. Are they any good? I mean, it's just like a flux core welder. You plug it into the wall outlet, and you got like the gun and stuff. So I mean, it is kind of it makes an electric arc to weld and to melt the filler material. But I mean, it's similar to what you would do for a stick welder. As far as the auto darkening lens that I have for the camera, it was not working very well because we tried it when we were trying to burn some steel for a short that I was doing, and it didn't work very well for that. So yeah, I mean, I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. What's up, Smithy? Welcome in, Tannerim. Oh yeah, okay. I use oxyacetylene torch. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, it's just basically a flux core welder. Works just like a MIG welder. I think it works pretty well. The flux, depending on what wire you're using it for, sometimes if you get really cheap wire, you'll get a lot of flux, and spittle, and it makes it a lot harder to clean. But it's a lot cheaper than a MIG welder. Can I offer a bit of advice on propane forge welding? Yeah, I always take advice. Like I said, I've never forge welded with a propane forge. The big one, I'm pretty sure, doesn't get up hot enough. I would guess it's triggered by UV light, so it works in the sun and kind of by accident. Also for arc welding, but not other light sources. Propane and gain. Ain't that a bit risky? Propane tank right beside the oven. I mean, it's far enough away that it doesn't get too hot. And as the pressure releases from the propane tank itself, it actually starts freezing. So I have the longest hose that I could find at the time when I bought the burner, but it works pretty well. And it does actually work relatively well for a Eclipse, the variable shade darkening lens that I have. We haven't actually tested it ourselves, but within, or like, it is the same thing that you would use to protect the camera's lenses and the sensors on the camera. And we are in ad time right now. It would probably not get dark enough to be safe. Most variable shade lenses work good. I mean, this one does. This one is dark enough that it ends up going about as dark as my welding helmet does when it wants to. Once this ad is done, we'll do another heat. We're gonna do it here at the anvil. I'm kind of trying to, do a little bit of widening and shaping. As for some models, it's really difficult to get the original replacement parts. I used a welding helmet to take Eclipse pictures. Didn't turn out well because there's multiple lenses and it makes weird double reflections. Yeah, and so, like I said, the lens that I use, or I guess it's a lens filter, it screws right onto the lens of the camera, and it's designed for Eclipse viewing and things like that. So that's what it's for. All right, we're gonna do another heat real fast. Thank you so much, Octolyptical, for that follow. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you're having fun. All right. I'm going to have to get a new set of tongs. These ones are a little bit on the wide side. Delicious. All right, let me grab another set of tongs. These are moving too much. Where's another set? Will these work? Probably not. Hopefully. All right. They seem to be working all right. All right, back in the fire. That is a couple long paragraphs. So with the propane forge, to help tell when a piece is up to temperature, it should be the same color as the internal of the forge. So if you lift or slightly scoot the piece once it's up to heat, if the floor of the forge is under the piece is not the same color as the rest of the forge, then the piece is probably not up to temperature because it is not at the temp of the forge. That makes sense. Sensors in itself, not that expensive. Aligning them is fairly complicated, and it is what attributes to the cross. That is why my electric repair guy told me. Yeah. I'm not sure on the lenses at that level, I think. But yeah, I watched a video on forge welding in a propane forge from Black Bear, and that is what he said. So but the thing about forge welding in my forge is I don't think it gets hot enough to forge weld. I only, like, the size of this forge should be a double burner, but I only have a single burner on it. So I just don't think it's going to get hot enough. And so I'm just more comfortable forge welding in a coal forge. So I think that's what we're going to do. We'll set that up and out in the carport so that we can get more ventilation and the smoke, or I don't smoke myself out. But yeah, we'll be doing the forge welding outside in the coal forge. Do it what that works best for you, absolutely. Do you mean camera sensors, not eyes? Yeah, so a welding shield works really well for an eclipse for your eyes, not so much for a camera. All right, I need to grab some more water and I will be right back. So I think that we're gonna go back to the press for our next heat. So I think I'm gonna move the camera a bit. We're gonna be going back and forth between the anvil and the press for this. Kind of trying to widen it out. I'm kind of learning as I go a little bit. This last heat, a piece of scale hit me in the mouth. That's always fun. All right. Goodness gracious. You guys are really talkative today. I'm missing a lot of comments. What is a good way to flux weld when using a coal forge? It tends to make more scale in ash, right? Yeah, I do borax. 21 teal or mule team borax. I have a tin of it that I keep near the forge, and so I just put it. You find it in the laundry aisle. It comes in like boxes, and there's like a farm on as the picture of it here in the United States at least. But yeah, it works beautifully as a flux because it melts on there, like and it forms like a glass shield around the piece and keeps all of the coal, like dust and things, and scale out of the forge itself, or I guess out of the steel. It oxidizes a lot less. You do have to be careful, regardless of leaving things in the coal forge too long. Or if I talk too long for that forge, my piece will never melt. But if I don't tend to the coal forge, I have the ability to melt my piece or decarburize it, and I have to be really careful about that. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna move the camera, didn't I? Because we're gonna take our next heat at the press. All right, so let's do this over here. I also need to flip my clips on the wide camera because we are past a half an hour, and it makes it a lot easier to process the clips if I change them at an hour, or I mean at the 30-minute mark. All right, there's that. It's focused, and I gotta turn it on. There's that, and this one. Flipping the clip. All right, coolies. Borax will eat a lot of forge materials, though. I mean, it will. That's what part of the reason why I don't like using borax inside my forge. It will eat the bricks. That's my previous forge brick that sat on the top. There was like a little scar in the middle of it. It was because borax ate it. But it doesn't, it's not too bad in the coal forge. It does create a little bit more clinker, but we'll clean that out. And as long as we tend to the forge properly, it should be fine. Makes sense. I've heard you need a ribbon burner, forced air to do propane forge welding, but have unlimited access to charcoal, so I've never tried gas. It was tough to forge weld with fine sand as flux in the traditional way and not borax. So you can actually forge weld in a gas forge, but you need to make sure that your burners are sized correctly for the forge itself, right? Like I said, the size of this forge is too big for one burner, so it runs really cold. Now, I have actually stuffed the bottom of the forge with more forge brick, and so I've halved the amount of space that is in that forge. So we'd probably get closer to forge welding temperatures. However, I still am not comfortable with it. I still think it'd run a little cold. I bet that mailbox forge could work. It does forge well. I've done it before. Well, I haven't done it before. I've seen it happen before. There was at the conference that or I guess the demo that I went to where I got the mailbox, there was one that was actually set up and they were working out of it and they forge welded two pieces of steel together in it just to demonstrate it. This one is not that one because, you know, I bought this one before it had even been fired, so I brought it home and I started it for its first time. All right, I'm gonna do another heat. We're doing a little bit of, we're a little bit slow today. I've been doing a lot of talking. Probably not gonna get quite as far as I need to start forge welding by Monday. But we'll get there. Not bad. We're getting a little bit of movement, outward movement, which is exactly what we want. But we'll kind of have to keep going on it, flipping it as we go. But yeah, the mailbox is amazing. It works beautifully. It's hot enough to forge weld if I wanted to, but it would be very difficult to find something to line the forge so that the flux didn't eat it away. The mailbox is built with a single fire brick. And so if I damage the bottom of it, the floor of it, it would be very difficult to fix it. I'd pretty much have to scrap it and get a new one. I got a hole in my lip today. I think I'm starting to get a little bit more coherent with my explanations for things, so that is good. I feel like I was a little bit airheaded at the beginning of the stream, so if you've got any questions, I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like I can properly answer them. So, my parents are coming into town tomorrow, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We might go out, but I think that we'll probably only go out for dinner. They're coming in for my birthday, because my birthday is Thursday next week, and they want to celebrate. So they did say that they wanted to go out to eat, but I don't know if they're just going to want to sit around, because they'll normally they get there at about 10 a.m. my time, and they leave about 2. So if we're eating out, that's probably going to be about an hour. So I'm not entirely sure if they're planning on sticking around home or if they want to go and like out to wherever. So I live within an hour of St. Louis, so we could totally go to like the St. Louis Zoo or Forest Park or the Art Museum or something. But I don't know if my parents would want to go. I mean, I guess my parents might be interested in seeing the forge and the smithy. They occasionally watch the stream. But I don't know. I gotta come up with something fun for us to do. I don't necessarily want to like stick around my house because like I haven't had enough time to like thoroughly clean it. I have enough time to do like a cursory surface clean, but I just don't think that I'll have the time to do a deep clean. And yeah. How far do they live? They live about 4 hours away, or 4.5 hours away from here. So they'll drive down, starting at like 6 a.m. They'll get here around 10, and then they leave around 2 so they can eat dinner at home and sleep in their own beds. I think they're crazy for driving for 4 hours for one day, or 8 hours in one day, but I mean, I'm not them, so I see. Yeah. I think I might ask my partner for my birthday if, maybe he can hook up one of the bigger monitors so that I can have a secondary monitor and make chat bigger so I can read it from the anvil. I don't know if it'll happen. It might not. I get too sleepy on the road to drive that far in one day. I road trip with others. Yeah, I get too tired to do that too. I mean, I've done 5 hours in a day before, but like I have to stay overnight wherever I am and come back the next day. I can't do more than 5 in a single day. It's just not. Yeah, it's not for me. I also have a lot of issues with my my chronic illness. I don't like sitting up in the same position for that long. Same here. All right. I'm going to do another heat. I'm looking for a thing real fast. Is this the thing I'm looking for? Maybe. This might work. The piece is super, super hot, so I'm trying to mitigate that a little. Alrighty. So I think we're going to go back to the anvil for our next heat. We're getting a little bit of a nice arc there. but I want to widen it up a little bit and work on this central piece that's closer to that hammer head that I'm trying to create. I load up on caffeine, I'll still be sleepy while driving, but the caffeine will not kick in, and when I get to the destination, then I'm unnecessarily wired. Caffeine has a effect longer than one might think. It does, man. It does. I had about a 3.5 hour drive from where I studied back to my parents. After one direction, it was pretty exhausting. I would not want to do that twice in a day. My parents, so in the Midwest of the United States, it is very, very common for people to drive to vacations. My parents routinely will actually drive from their house to Florida, like the bottom of, the south of Florida, Bradenton. So it's like a 24-hour drive. So they'll do it in 2 days, stopping in Georgia. But it is super, super long drive. They like doing it though. They have a few friends that are along the way, so they'll kind of do it in a couple stops. I think they're crazy. Why drive when you can fly? See, flying is expensive, even domestically, here in the United States, or at least that's the theory. I mean, with gas prices, I don't know. I don't know which would be, more pricey at this point. I wish I could harness their energy. I mean, I wish I could harness their energy. They do fly occasionally when flight is warranted. So like their last trip was to California and they flew there. They also flew to South Africa last year, and they went to do a safari and some work with like a children's home or something. Time is valuable. I mean, time is money. Time is money. I mean, it's kind of, what do you value, And I mean, it's one of those weird misconceptions, where is it worth the drive and the extra time it's going to take for you to get to your vacation, or is it worth more to just be at your vacation location? I value ham. Admitted, from what I know, was never there. Driving might be a little less exhausting in the US. In Germany, you always have to speed up, slow down, and adapt to other drivers. For the most part, most of the time, you can hit cruise control, and then just drive for long distances. But lately, it's been difficult because there's been so much construction. You have to do stop and go traffic for half of it. At least the drive up to my parents' house lately. It's not about the destination. It's about the way you get there. I mean, if the way is the goal, yeah. You're right, Sandwich. All right, we're going to do another heat. We've got a really hot forge today. Oh, wait, you know what? I said that we were going to do it on the anvil. I think we're going to do one more heat on the press just because I didn't move the camera. And then we'll move to the anvil. No, I missed it. There we go. day. One day. That's not bad. It's starting to fan out pretty well. I think I want to work on the other side. This side is starting to work pretty well. It's starting to flare out. This side is a little bit on the thin side. So we'll work on that. So maybe I'll do that on the press. All U.S. highways look the same. I don't know about that. I would argue that driving through Missouri from St. Louis to Kansas City looks very, very different than driving through Iowa or Kansas. So at least Missouri has a whole bunch of hills and trees and rock formations, whereas if you're driving through Iowa, all you get to see are cornfields. If you're driving through Kansas, it's just flat everything. In Iowa, it's corn, corn, corn. Yep, that it is. The bits of the highway off the U.S. highways are interesting. I mean, they are. I will have to get off the bus. We'll tune back in from home if you're still on. Oh, have fun, Sandwich. Be safe. Occasional pig pen and then lots of corn. Yes. Iowa is all about the corn. You get to see like silos, and occasionally you'll see like a windmill or two, but most of it is just corn and soybeans alternating throughout the entirety of the state. Not amazingly fun to watch. It's kind of boring. Gas stations and the occasional adult shop. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit that there are quite a few adult shops in that area. I remember I used to have to drive between the Quad Cities and Iowa City relatively routinely. And yeah, it was all cornfields, soybeans, and all of the billboards were, you know, corn and adult stores. But yeah, I grew up on the border of Illinois and Iowa, and now I grew up and moved to the border of Illinois and Missouri. All right, so I said that I was going to do my next heat here on the anvil, but then I turned the piece over, and I decided that we're going to go back to the press. So we're just going to do the press some more. I am going to flip my clips though, just to make sure that I get to keep them all. I need to get the best clips, you know? Uh-oh, I kicked the tripod. Now I gotta make sure that it's like in focus and everything. All right, it looks like it's all right. There we go. Maybe let's not kick the tripod this time. Goodness gracious. So basically, corn, where the asterisk is a C or a P, you choose. I mean, sometimes it's roll the dice. I've never understood why they call a state Missouri. I mean, it's not spelled the same. But I mean, there are some residents who would say that living in Missouri is misery. So we have a ad incoming. So once that ad is done, we'll do another heat. We're getting really fast. The piece is heating up really, really fast, so we should be able to keep on keeping on, moving right along. The river of one who has a dugout of canoes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Ping, do you like that new emote? I think you guys asked for more fire, or more heat, but I couldn't come up with a good one, so that's what I came up with. I wanted to do just a pixel one that was just, not animated, and I just couldn't come up with a good concept for it. Yes, that's all our emotes. I try to keep up with them and make sure that they're, that I get new ones that you guys request. I'm not amazingly good with pixel art, but I try my best. Most of the animated ones, I actually just take the footage from the stream and turn them into emotes. They're usually like 3 seconds worth of footage that I shrink down and turn them into a GIF or a GIF, however you want to pronounce that. Here in Europe, we usually use the coracles. I like bring in the coal forge. Yeah, I like the coal forge too. Need caffeinated Beavis fire. I mean, I'm not really a Beavis and Butthead fan. My parents were very, very particular about what I could watch when I was a kid. So I guess I just never watched it. And so I guess I've never went to watch it after I left home. And bring me fire. Coracle, a small round boat made of wicker wood covered in watertight material propelled with a paddle. Oh, okay. So that sounds kind of like a canoe, but like a more natural material canoe, almost. We didn't start the fire. Hades and Zeus Real, thank you so much for that follow. I think I missed it 6 minutes ago. Thank you so much. We're doing very well with our follows today. Thank you so much. We have actually surpassed our 260 follower goal today. That is always exciting. I'm just going to push up the goal to, 270, because why not raise the bar every time? All right, I am going to do another heat. We're going to do it at the press. Off fair. I was in 5th grade when I watched Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, my parents they didn't like me to watch a lot of TV, so I was very deprived until I started actively finding shows to watch. All right. Maybe I wasn't deprived. I got to read books and things. I was using a glove right there. My hand slipped. All right, we're getting some nice wide flare out. Not too bad. It's about where I was hoping that we would end up, relatively quick order. So not too bad. I am going to flip this over and we're going to start on that side for our next heat. It is, but the coracle is round, usually made with ash twigs and skin of an animal on the outside. A canoe is better to move across a long distance, but a coracle is made quicker. I was never told to use a glove with machine. Oh, I was told never to use a glove with machine. In this case, it's not terrible because there aren't any open, like, rotating parts in the press. I do have to be a little bit careful that I don't get the glove caught in the press, but my hand is so small that I have like about an inch at the end of each finger. So I typically don't, my fingers aren't in the tips of the fingers. So if I did press the glove by accident, there is a good chance that it wouldn't be my finger. Okay, I see. Yeah, there aren't any like rotating parts in the machine. Rotating parts, it is essential that you don't use a glove because the glove, or like if a rotating machine catches your glove, it'll pull your hand in, and bad. But I mean, a welding glove isn't quite as bad because welding gloves are actually designed to fling off, right? So if ever you like set your hand or your glove on fire or whatever, all you do is like that and it's gone. So if it ever did get caught, it wouldn't be as big of a deal because I could just pull my hand right out of it. But it is true, you should try not to use gloves when you are using rotating equipment and machinery. I was told if you move the machine, wear gloves. If the machine moves, you don't. I mean, yeah, that is probably the case, and that would be good practice. Really, I'm just trying to protect my knuckles because the piece is really, really hot right now, and because it's so long, as I'm using the lever, my knuckles are getting singed. A kayak, an Inuit man's boat, Umek, women's boat, Umaks, notably catch more fish. Yeah, I'm not up on boats, I guess. I know that there are lots of different types of boats, but there are so many that are like the similar shape that I kind of get a little confused. I know kayaks are typically a single person, whereas a canoe is almost required to have two people in it. One to steer and one to paddle. And then a kayak you can pretty much do on your own. There are two-person kayaks, though. Probably because kayaks are used to hunt seals and such. Are they? I would not know. I definitely would not know. All right, I'm going to do another heat. Because I got to move right along. We're not making quite as much progress as I wanted to today. We will make enough progress, though, over the next 2 streams. So I think it'll be all right. I'm thinking, though, that Wednesday will be our forge welding day. know. I'm starting to see this like little bends are forming, and I want to keep the outside edges really nice and straight. So we're going to go back to the anvil and kind of straighten it out, where we're going to work on these central areas on both sides, and then we'll come back to the press and continue widening things out. Kayaks are male hunter boats. Umak is the general fishing boat to hunt everything. Okay. Descriptions of boats. So, like I said, I think this is going to take me another full stream in order to get these as wide as I want them to be. So we will probably spend all day on Monday in here in the shop. Wednesday stream, we will be doing the forge welding. So I will set everything up out in the carport, which means I need to move the van. And maybe resurface the outdoor anvil. I have an anvil out there in the carport, but but it's covered in surface rust. It's not pitting or anything. It's just it's been out there for many years without use. So it's been a while since I've used it, and I need to clean it off a bit. What's all this yakking about a boat, eh? Northern accent. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not amazingly good with boats. We do have a sailboat. It's like a two-person sailboat, but yeah, I'm really not good with boats. About a boot. I mean, I'm much better with boots. I mean, I wear boots. It is super warm today. We are almost at the 2-hour mark. So we've got about 30 to 45 minutes left of the stream. So we're going to get as much work done as possible. And that way we have less to do on Monday. If we finish working on or widening out the axe so that I am satisfied with it, what I will do is I'll probably, I don't know, maybe make it like a leaf or some like little small project that we can do in like the, half of a stream. So maybe I'll have a piece of steel that's like ready for that too, just in case that we get to a point where we need to forge weld stuff. I doubt that will happen, but it never hurts to be prepared. But I'm thinking Wednesday will be a forge welding day. The two best days of boating are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Call the chat to heal. It's a technique. Yeah, you have one paddle. Yeah, I don't mind if you're talking amongst each other, but I think that I need to start talking more about on-topic things. So like blacksmithing and things like that. So yeah, if you guys want to continue your conversation, that's cool. Just I probably don't really have much else to contribute. I am so glad though to have a community of people that are comfortable talking with each other. There's a lot of communities out there in video games as well as here on Twitch and other places where people are only like people only want to talk to the leader of the group. And I'm really grateful for you guys that you guys are comfortable enough to talk to each other, even if that's not what I'm talking about. So I thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Hammer home the channel, iron out the differences, and forge new friendships. Yes. Yes. Although when I see iron out the differences, I mean, I don't know why. I feel like I should think about steel, but instead of thinking about steel, I actually think about an iron, like, to iron the wrinkles out of a shirt. I know, it's weird. All right, I'm going to move the camera. Community is what it's all about. Steal yourself. I love all the puns. Keep them coming. Puns are so funny. I'm not very good at coming up with puns, but you guys are. You guys are great at puns. And dad jokes. Makes it really easy to upset things, upset my mettle. When all your puns are grown worthy. I mean, two old people, it's the same thing. Iron and iron. Yes. Axe yourself what the channel is a boot. I did consider going, I gotta ask you a question as a title at one point, but I thought that was going a little too far. So I decided to refrain. All right. I need to grab another water, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to do another heat here on the anvil. I also am using this as an excuse to make sure that I hit the record button on my cameras, because sometimes I have a tendency to start or move the camera and then stop starting and then I don't start the record function. Because I'm smart like that, Man, the sky's starting to get dark outside. I wonder if we're actually going to get that rain that was predicted like last week. We were supposed to get rain every day for the last several days. And we haven't had it yet. So I wonder if it is actually coming for once. I would love it if it did, because if it did, then it would cool down the rest of the area, and then I would feel less hot. I could definitely do with a cool down. Norwegian have a bunch of blacksmith-related idioms. Do they? Axe as a synonym for axe, and considered a low, crude misspelling, only goes back around 300 years. I mean, yeah, but it's also kind of it has become a dialect, like an English or an American dialect of English. So I don't want to disparage people for using the dialect. I mean, it's very common and used in the common parlance a lot. So All right. I'm going to do another heat. It looks like the forge is starting to cool down a little bit. That means that the gas is either frozen or starting to freeze, or it's starting to empty. So I'm gonna have to change that. All right. All right, we're gonna flip this guy and we're gonna put it back in the forge, and then we're gonna start working on this side over here. But before we do that, I'm gonna change the tank. All right, so I'm gonna go here. That way you guys can kind of watch me change the tank. Or at least a little bit. All right. Close. Yeah, it feels like we're just getting low. It is hot enough in here that the tank isn't actually frozen, which is very unusual. All right. Let's see. Let's see. This one, or do we want... I think we're going to do this one. All right. So this one I've slowly been emptying. And so this is not a full tank. So if this guy freezes up, we will have to end the stream at that point. It's getting pretty late in the stream as is. It should work for quite a while. But if it decides that it's going to act up, we'll probably end the stream. I don't have any other tanks that we can change to after this guy. All right. We're hot enough. We should be fine. All right. Gonna heat it up again. Home sweet home. Welcome back, Sandwich. Having several irons in the forge, meaning having several projects ongoing. Yeah. Hey, unauthorized Nate, welcome to chat. Welcome to the stream. It's been in UK English for over 300 years. It's very dialect, but somehow has not ever become mainstream. Yeah, here in the US, it has actually become relatively mainstream in a lot of southern states. So yeah, it's kind of, do I want to poke that? I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody. Several irons in the fire is an idiom in the UK. In German, it's axed. I see. Yeah, here in the United States, the phrase is having many irons in the fire, and it's just you have a lot of projects. A similar idiom would be burning the candle at both ends, which, you know, you're doing too much and you're going to burn yourself out. So yes, many irons in the fire. Also, they're in German. Mehrere Eisen im Feuer. I don't know what that's. Maybe I shouldn't be reading things that I don't know what they mean in other languages. Speaking of burning candles at two ends, how are you feeling? I feel like I have been burning the candle at both ends lately. I won't lie. So over the last like month, I have been having to do, or I've been having to film stuff for YouTube every weekend. And so I don't like, before I was kind of getting the weekend where I was just doing nothing, and that was giving me enough time to recover. And I've been kind of neglecting doing that recently. And that's kind of why, like, the last Monday, I don't know if it was last Monday or like the last Monday that I had to cancel stream. That's why. And I'm kind of borrowing spoons from tomorrow, but I don't have to do anything physical this weekend if I don't want to. So I'm hoping that the crash ends up being sometime this weekend, and I'll be fine on Monday again. But I do my best, and I mean, I can only do what I can do. So, you know, you guys might see at some time in the near future that I just have to cancel another stream. I always hope that that's not going to happen, but occasionally it just does. But yeah, you guys do keep me active. Middle English, ax, x, from Old English, ax, which explains a lot. It means exactly several irons in the fire. The pronunciation is a bit different from yours, though. I can imagine. Remember, don't borrow spoons you can't see. I mean, that is the case. That's definitely the case. But, like I said, I don't have anything to do this weekend, so I should be able to relax. Like I said, my parents are coming tomorrow for my birthday, but I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, you know. And then Sunday, I will have all day to relax if I want to. So regardless, I should be good to go by Monday. Norwegian for axe is oaks, and the O is pronounced as an EA, as in early. Okay, so irks. That sounds to me like irk, which is like upset. It's kind of like a slang term that some people use here in the US. Weird. You say oops, we say axe. Let's call the whole thing axe. All right, I'm gonna do another heat here on the anvil face, and yeah, we're gonna keep on keeping on. I smell ozone. That means it's raining. All right, I'm gonna grab some more heat. I'm starting to think that we might actually need to put a bit in here, but I mean, we still have quite a bit of thickness. We should be all right. I just need to be a little bit careful. I want to make sure that I have enough material for forge welding so that I don't lose it all. So we're getting there. I'll probably need to make a chamfer, maybe. We'll see. Clanging. Let the hammer do the talking. The earthy scent when produced when rain falls on dry ground. Yep. That's exactly what I'm smelling, because we're getting a little bit of sprinkling outside. I could definitely smell it, and I could almost see it out there. The drops are really, really misty and small, but I can barely see them. We are getting an ad right now, and so I'm not going to really talk about anything amazingly exciting during the ad, but you know, looks like enough thickness to forge weld and then spread the welded mass out. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not sure if I want to spread it out a little bit more or if I just want to forge weld it or flatten it out and then forge weld it. Like I said, I need enough material to get a good weld. So I don't know. So Corwin said that it looks like I have enough material to forge weld with a bit in there or inside. And then I can always spread it out some more. And I do think that's right. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, do I want to continue spreading just a little bit further, or do I just want to flatten everything out and then work on chamfer and put it all together? Forge weld it together, I guess. I don't know. How have you enjoyed the axe project? And then I always find the thicker materials are more daunting. 3/16 or so thick? I mean, maybe. That's probably about where I want it to be. As far as how I'm liking this project or this axe project, honestly, I feel like I will like the punched axe that I'm planning for a couple weeks from now. I think I'll find that a little bit more pleasant. Because honestly, I'm a little bit intimidated by forge welding. Mostly because it has been many a year since I've actually done it, and I'm a little bit afraid that I'm gonna screw it up. But I kind of feel like all I can really do at this point is kind of give myself the best chance to succeed by using like an angle grinder to clean off all of the forge scale, flatten out the pieces, and just get everything nice and ready. I mean, an axe has always been a dream project for me, and I think that I'll actually succeed with it. But so far, I feel like I'm doing a lot of figuring out how things are gonna work and guesswork. But I feel like I also did that with the hammer, so that's about par for the course. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It's a nice puzzle to figure out. Thank you so much, Light One Up, for the follow. Welcome to the community. We're doing really well with follows today. Thank you guys so much. It means so much that you would decide to follow me, come back at a later date. Failures are usually just hands-on lessons if you learn from them. Yes, exactly. No shame whether it succeeds or fails. It's just one step in a process where you complete the rest successfully. Exactly. At worst, it will be a lesson on how not to do it next time. You don't know, I don't, or you don't know, you don't try. Oh, if you don't try. Yes, exactly. And that's why I've kind of gotten to this point where I'm a little less afraid to do projects that I've never done before. When I started this stream, I was very married to the idea of just doing projects that I already knew how to do. And we ran through a few of those projects, and then I started just, decided that I wanted to branch out a bit. And I feel like Alex Steele really gave me the courage to do that. Because he screwed up a couple of projects for a couple of videos that I saw relatively recently and within the last couple months. And he just laughed it off and, made a video anyway. And so I kind of feel like, it kind of took a weight off of me that I just don't feel like I have to finish things successfully every single time. So yeah, we might fail. I love his willingness to show incompetence. Yeah, and I mean, I do. I appreciate it. I feel like there's a freedom to not being afraid to fail. And I feel like you can learn a lot more from a failure than you can from a success sometimes. And so, yeah, I'm a lot less afraid to fail. I think I've done this as best I can, and now we just find out. Oh, well, it didn't work. Let's try route 2. Yeah. I mean, he was trying to do, I think the last couple projects, he was trying to make canister Damascus in the shape of his dog. And he screwed up a couple of things for like a video or two. And then he finally succeeded. And that dog piece of Damascus was absolutely gorgeous. It looked just like the dog. I was very impressed. But have you considered starting to smoke a pipe to get the Damascus barrels right? I don't know that I think barrel or like gun barrels are worth having a nasty habit. I mean, maybe a bubble pipe, you know? You put the bubbles soap in the pipe and then you blow bubbles. I could do that. Have you seen his video where he forges bottle openers until people start buying? I think I've missed that one. I've seen him do nails until people stop buying, and then also like his little coins. I've seen those videos, but I think I missed the bottle openers. All right, we're gonna do another heat. Right. All right. I'm done with getting hit by scale for the moment, so see if we can get some of this off of here. Goodness gracious. That is why you always have safety glasses when you're forging. All right, back in the fire. I'm forever blowing bubbles. Yes. Bubbles. I used to love blowing bubbles as a kid, you know? I never really liked the bubble pipes though, because it never failed. I would always get soap in my mouth. And, you know, if you've ever cursed in front of your mother, you know soap does not taste good. He gets up to a 650-ish bottle opener and is in a very unhinged state at the moment. It's as if people were buying just to see him lose his mind. Yes. Speaking of scale, I saw a couple videos where people use finely crushed forge scale for punch lube when doing hammer eyes. Yes. I don't know if it was one of you guys or if it was one of my YouTube commenters. But one of you guys has mentioned using coal dust as a lubricant within a hammer. And if you are the person on YouTube and you watch this, please let me know in the comments. Yes. Also, for those of you who are in YouTube that, will come and watch this video on Monday or subsequent days, if you guys have any questions about blacksmithing or what we're up to or anything like that, do ask in the comments section, and I will actually answer your questions in the next stream video or on this in the comments section. So I want you guys to be included as well. Wash your mouth out with a swear word. Oh, was it you, Corwin? Yes. Okay, cool. I swear, like I said, I thought somebody told me that, and I do remember that comment, and the suggestion is great, and I will be, using it for our next axe that we're doing, because we will be doing a punched axe shortly. And I definitely do not want to have an entire stream where I am trying to unstuck the punch again. So yeah, we're definitely going to be using crushed coal for the next punch. Awesome. All right. My partner is home. All right, what time is it? They're only a little bit early. Not too bad. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more heats, and then I probably will actually go in for the day, because it is super hot still, even with the misting rain. Close to 11 p.m. here. Yeah, it looks like here it is almost 4 p.m. And I usually stream till about 4 p.m., sometimes 4:30 my time. I'm in Central U.S. time. A lot of my, when I say what time we're going to do things, I usually try to be in Eastern time, because that's a decent conversion for everyone to understand. In the United States, when people are like talking about TV programming, they're like, they give Eastern and Pacific. So I feel like it's easier for you guys to calculate the Eastern time. So I try. Nearly 10 p.m. in the UK. Wow. You guys are staying up late to watch me. My bedtime is 10 p.m. Ah, that is a big piece of scale. I'm not going to let it hit me. All right, I got a weird bulge right here. I'm going to upset that back, I think. Or at least I'm going to try to. All right. So not bad. I think they're actually splayed out pretty evenly. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. So from here, what I'm starting to think is that I will try and put a bit in here, which means I need to locate a piece of steel to forge weld in here. So the next thing that we're going to focus on probably on Monday is making a scarf, so that we get a really even and nice transition between the two pieces of the blade, or like the wrap and the bit. I also want to take some particular time to look at this central area. It's kind of gotten a little bit muddy as we've been working today. So I really want to kind of reestablish that hammer back. And I think that's probably what we're going to be taking a look at. And for the rest of today, I think we're just going to flatten this out a little bit. We've got a little bit more divots to take care of, and then we should be good to go. You're way entertaining, that's why. I try. It's Friday, no work tomorrow. Late is the state of mind. Blacksmithing is more of a winter activity at my place. It's much nicer. Negative 25 Celsius, about negative 13. Oh, yee. I could not blacksmith at that cold. Even with the forge going, I would freeze my socks off. I run really hot, so I don't actually mind. Like, I mind the heat, but only so much as it makes it difficult for me to keep hydrated. And I get kidney stones, so if I can't hydrate enough, then I grow them, and it's never pleasant. So I would rather forge in the spring, summer, and fall than in the winter if I can get away with it. I did forge in the 0 degrees Fahrenheit, so you know, yeah, it'd be like negative 32, I think, for you guys, or for Celsius. No, not negative 32. I don't know. Anyway, at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and I did not like it, not one bit. Blacksmithing has made me hate winter less. I can forge a hoodie, or in a hoodie, when it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The lowest recorded temperature in the UK is negative 27 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 17 degrees, or negative 23 Celsius, negative 17 Fahrenheit. 0 Fahrenheit is negative 17.7 Celsius. Okay, at that temperature. It gets a little warmer when I'm like, you know, huddled up by the forge, but I really don't like huddling next to the forge if I can get away with it. Hey, Lone Mountain. Welcome to the stream. We are currently working on an axe. It's the very first axe I've ever made, so it's not amazingly, like, you know, I'm kind of learning as we go, so it's not amazingly concise, but it'll work out in the end. Aloha, Lone. That's last January at my place, but hey, forging in a welding jacket is so nice. See, I've been like all winter, I was forging in a hoodie and a Carhartt, and then huddling next to the forge. I get really cold really easily. I'm gonna check my cameras real fast, and then I will do my next heat. How long have I been not? Okay, so it just stopped. Okay, so we're good. We is good. Alrighty. A wild Jack has appeared. Jack's been around for a little bit. My problem is the warming up time is miserable until I forge it up to heat. Yes, exactly. Alright, I'm gonna clean off the anvil real fast. And then we're gonna do our next heat. What was that? I don't know. Goodness. Alright. All right, I think we're gonna do 2 more heats. We're gonna do 2 flattening heats on this side, one on one side, one on the other. And then we'll probably raid off for the day. I need to cool down. friend who lives in Finland that would consider that a mild winter's day. Ugh. Light it, run back inside while coffee is brewing, and then it's the thermos, or it's in the thermos, it's back out. Yeah. I have done that before, lit the forge and then, went back into the warmth of the house. But I always get a little bit nervous about that, just leaving the forge running without monitoring it. So I stopped doing that. And now what I do is I turn on all of the heaters that I have in here. And I wait about an hour and then I'll turn the forge on. And it takes a little bit longer for the forge to heat, but like I said, I'm not thrilled on the whole leaving the forge unattended. Oh, guys, did you notice I finally fixed the chat, or like the Nightbot? I think it's the right thing now. That's my Facebook and my Instagram and my YouTube, I think. Or did I screw it up worse? Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Okay, cool. I actually did it right. Yay! Finally. I have family in Oswald. Interesting. I don't know where that is. Is that in Germany or is that in England? Those are the two locations that we've been talking about that I know that people are located in. Also, the Netherlands. The capital of Norway. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Lucy is from Belgium. The best place to get French fries. All right. It has been an amazing day today. I've had a lot of fun. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and we've actually gotten to a point where I am actually starting to think that maybe, we might want to, or we might get to making like a leaf or something on Monday. We definitely need to start working on scarfing the two sides of the axe. And I need to do a little bit more flatting, and I do want to isolate that central fat part of the axe. But then we should be able to forge weld on Wednesday. Like I said, I don't know that it's going to take all stream on Monday. So I might do like a leaf or a hook or something. I do need a couple S-hooks. That might be the project that we do in addition to our axe. And waffles and chocolate and much other tasty things. Yes, yummy. Belgium, the best place to get French fries. Well, they did invent them. Yes. See? I remember what you guys tell me. All right. This is going to be my last heat. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have any suggestions for who to raid, let me know. Otherwise, we will look through my friends list and see if there's anybody, of our friends that we can raid, or we might meet some new friends. Right. Alrighty. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. Not too bad. Not too bad. Or I'll just drop it on the floor. I was trying to show you what it looked like, you know? Not too bad. It's a little skinny axe, so we'll probably need a bit to make it a little bit thicker. All right. I remember every little thing as if it only happened yesterday. Just imagine the process of inventing french fries or deep frying in general. Tastes okay, but it can use more fat. Is that drop forging? It is drop forging. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. You have been amazing. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. We will see you on Monday. Thank you and have a nice day. Yeah. All right. Let's see who's around to raid. Let's see. Merrimack Mud. Awesome. Looks like they recently got affiliate. All right. Or they got affiliate. All right. Have a great weekend, guys.